a birthday note, and a denial from the White House. More documents from Jeffrey Epstein's estate are revealed publicly for the first time. The House Oversight Committee released a trove of documents Monday night, including this 50th birthday note to Epstein bearing the name and signature of Donald Trump. The letter, which is from 2003, seems to have a drawing of a naked woman's silhouette. At one point in the letter's message, Donald Trump says, quote, "We have a lot in common, Jeffrey." The letter ends with a final wish, quote, "May every day be another wonderful secret." It is then signed Donald. The White House calls it a hoax. Trump's press secretary on X writes, quote, "It's very clear President Trump did not draw this picture and he did not sign it," continuing the denials, which started shortly after the Wall Street Journal first reported about the letter back in July.
I don't do drawings. I'm not a drawing person. I don't do drawings. Sometimes people say, would you draw a building? And I'll draw 4 lines and a little roof, for a charity stuff. But I'm not a drawing person. I don't do drawings of women. That I can tell you.
You did not write a letter for Jeffrey Epstein's birthday?
I don't even know what they're talking about. Now, somebody could have written a letter and used my name, but that's happened a lot.
Joining me now in the group chat, Susan Page, Washington Bureau Chief for USA Today, Chuck Rocha, Democratic strategist, and Ashley Davis, former White House official under President George W. Bush. Welcome, everybody. Susan, since you're new, we'll haze you. Usually the conversation is about 2 things. One, just the existence of this note, which was under kind of conversation when the Wall Street Journal first reported it, and then the way the president has handled it in the context of the other questions about Epstein. So what do you see in how the White House is responding, which is basically just to say this has nothing to do with him?
Has not worked so far. The White House has been, I think, stunned by the inability to put the Epstein issue behind them. And it just keeps getting bigger. And the release of this drawing and the debate over whether that's really his signature and did he really write it, that's just more fuel on the fire. It's the one issue we've seen so far that has really created problems for Trump with his core supporters.
Okay, so I want to play some tape for you here. Tim Burchett, who is a representative who's always saying lively things, was asked about this, and here's what he had to say.
I've never known Trump to be much of an artist either, so I kind of draw that into question.
There's a history of him drawing
stuff. The thing is, it's been there for 4 years, and now it's just come out. I just don't buy it.
So you think really someone might have just forged this somehow and sent this to the Epstein?
Somehow. It's so easy to do. I just don't buy any of it right now because we have a prior administration that's had a history of dishonesty, and they bring something like this out now. Why wouldn't they bring it out during the campaign?
This is a story that will not go away, and it is driving them nuts. Every day that we're not talking about immigration or law enforcement and all the things that Donald Trump wants to talk about is losing. And it's his own fault because as a political consultant, we all remember we covered this about how the right is just rampant over this issue because they fed this machine, and now this machine wants something in return, and they're like, not our Donald.
Would it have cured things to have said, and he's denying it's his, would it somehow have cured things to say, this is a letter, our relationship is broken, which we know it was, he did not have a relationship with Epstein after a time, and would that have made this not an issue now?
Well, first of all, if he did do it, he survived so many scandals over the years. This is like this. I mean, if he made a drawing and signed his name, in my mind, this is not the worst of what he's been accused of over the years. So that's why I'm having trouble with this story of did he do it, did he not do it? And you're exactly right. The more he denies it, if he really did do it, the longer the story is going to last. And by the way, the reason the base is so out there is, yes, they were the ones that were saying there was so much more about the conspiracy theory. But 2, I don't know if the base cares if he made the drawing or not. They just want to know if there's more out there.
This gets to the argument from Jasmine Crockett, Texas Democrat, who's, of course, always willing to jump in there and make a point. Here's what she said on Monday.
I think the biggest issue is the fact that he cannot be honest about it, right? Like, why lie? Because it doesn't implicate, right? But the fact that you're lying makes it look like, what else are you lying about?
That piece right there is the most important piece for the
You think
midterm
so?
elections. I do, because and Susan's covered this, everybody's talked about midterm elections are not presidential elections. Not everybody votes, and it's motivation, and he needs his base to show up in a big way to win back Congress for the Republicans. He knows he's got a big problem if
no one's going to
Democrats take
stay
control
home
of that.
over this. Do you think that? No.
There's people on the right who, I'm not saying they'll vote Democrat. Nobody's saying that at all here. I'm just saying that there's enough people that could be frustrated by this because they fed this machine that they could be aggravated enough to stay home.
But that's why House Republicans are bringing out the documents, because that's what they're frustrated about, is the fact that Trump said he wasn't going to release them, or Pam Bondi said he wasn't going to release them. Not about if he was part of it.
Yeah, so you think this is letting air out of the balloon somehow? This,
Well,
I mean,
the conversation's just, I mean, like,
Yeah.
It's so
it keeps coming back.
You're so right that Donald Trump has survived crises and scandals that we thought would fell any politician. This one, I think, is different because his opponents, the Democrats, actually don't believe there's anything there. It's his supporters who believe there's something there. And I think it's unlikely that this Justice Department and this Congress, this Republican Congress, will be able to come out with enough information that satisfies the people who believe there is some big scandal there that is just waiting to arrive.
Okay, you guys stay with me. We've got a lot to talk about this hour coming up on CNN this morning.